Join us for a review of the all-new Peugeot 2008, both as combustion engine and electric e-2008. Let's go! Please subscribe to us if you haven't done so far, and thank you so much to all long-term subscribers. Here in the front, the all-new Peugeot 2008 has a stronger stance on the road, stronger front grille, also more upright. This one here is the GT version. In the combustion engine, it's connected to the 155 horsepower top petrol engine, and it has this, vertical dots, let's call them that way. Here also, with some shiny elements, so looks really sporty and nice, also sportier lower end than in the GT version. The electric version, the e-2008, you can get in different trims. Also in the GT trim, we can see it right here. So it looks kind of similar also in lower part, but the e-2008 always has a different front grille. First of all, we see those horizontal dots, we call them, and they're also in the same vehicle color. The length is at 4 meters 30, 14 foot 1 or 169 inches, and that's actually 15 centimeters or 6 inches more than the predecessor, so a significant gain in length. This will also have an effect on the interior, of course. Here again, the ICE version, but in the side profile, the combustion engine version and the electric version is not really different. We just have different colors here today. This one is called Orange Fusion, and it's also a very strong color. So both colors we have here today on display are actually, pretty much screaming out. This one here, the GT pack, also has the GT badge here. Beautiful evening sun here in the French Luberon. And also, again, this beautiful vertigo blue color here with the e-2008. You can see the side profile, it's pretty much the same, so that more depends on the color, the difference here now. Well, we do have other wheels, but that's also not connected to the E version. Here, I think a little bit more beautiful in this two-color scheme than with the all-black scheme we have seen with the orange car. And now to the rear with a very modern design, pretty cool with those LED signatures and the Peugeot lettering. So that's indeed quite daring, but I think it looks really, really good. Or what do you think? Yeah, I'm glad they did not go for fake exhaust here on the e-2008, so well done. Yeah, again in this blue color, again the same design. So that you have the GT badge right there, because this is also possible to have as a GT version. And then on the other side here, the e-2008, that's the second thing where you can see that's actually the electric version. As for engines, it always comes with, when you pick the petrol, with a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder petrol engine. Here in the GT spec with 155 horsepower, made with an 8-speed automatic gearbox, 8.2 seconds acceleration figure, or 130 horsepower, optional 8-speed automatic, or then with 100 horsepower, just with manual. Then there's also a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder diesel, either 130 horsepower, made it with 8-speed automatic, or with 100 horsepower, then as manual. So that's it for the combustion engines, always front-wheel drive only. Front-wheel drive only also for the electric version, 136 horsepower and 9 seconds is the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour, so a little bit slower than the top petrol engine. And talking about the battery, here by the way, we still have this charger that we don't deplete the battery with the interior functions to, again, just show purposes. But this one here will always be the same case here, the front electric motor. And the battery size is 50 kilowatt hours, so that's actually quite decent, and that gives an official range of 320 kilometers or 200 miles. And charging is up to 11 kilowatt AC and up to 100 kilowatt DC. I'm 1 meters 86 or 6'1", and when I have it in the lowest position, there is still some headroom left. There is a panoramic roof here, an optional one, and you can even open it, so it's not just one where you just have the slider, so you can open it, and it's actually not too small. Also, in the width right there, and of course you can also, but it seems you have to hold it, so it's not like this easy function, and then you can also have this cover. And this cover then here is manual, but we'll leave it open for you. Well, and I would put the seat a little bit higher that we don't, fall too far back actually, and make it a little bit steeper right there. And yeah, it's actually a good seating position also for tall people. As for the seat, especially here, those GT Sport seats, they're a little bit bigger, a little bit wider also, and they really keep you tight. That's cool. And then this steering wheel, you can adjust it, but how it feels like from the function, that is a little bit cheaply done, I think. So that's something to criticize in the interior build quality. The seat is marvelous, definitely also build quality wise, but here the steering wheel function, optional. You can get this 10-inch digital screen, and it has this 3D effect. You can pick it a little bit up on the camera, so it's like 2 layers, so it appears even more three-dimensional, of course, with your own eyes. So this 0 from the kilometers an hour, and also this battery pack visualization from the car. This one it would be the front layer, and the other layer is behind it. So very interesting technology. And you're, of course, a little bit flexible of what you want to display here and how you want to change the layout. So that's that's the advantage of those digital instruments. So pretty fancy thing, actually. Now the interior overview. Again, the top part here is soft touch. And then there's a hole right here, so you can grab around that. Well, this is a, unique design, so to say. And the view to the digital instruments, you can see how the steering wheel sometimes blocks it, especially when I have to put the steering wheel all the way up. And on the steering wheel, by the way, on the left side, you control those digital instruments here with rolling this one here, and also for volume up and down. And on the right side, then this more has an effect on what's happening on the right side, for the music, for example, and picking up the phone. Well, then you have here this carbon fiber insert once again. It's not really carbon fiber, it's rather, also soft touch. That's interesting. So you can really, squeeze that. Pretty interesting. So now that we have connected the Apple CarPlay, this is the integration, not all the way over the screen, but you see it right here. And we can also play, some music. This is then this standard audio system in here. This sounds actually quite good, quite standard. We can also test how it is different from with this optional focal sound system soon. So now we switch the cars again with the focal sound system, and indeed the sound it sounds richer, so more depth, so to say. Really cool. So I can recommend that for music lovers. You have additional speakers on top of the screen. There's this additional focal speaker and also additional speakers at the A-pillars. And what about the rear? First of all, styling wise, you can see here, by the way, hard pack at the inside of the doors at the rear, but at this price point, I think it's also okay. Well, the e-2008, not too cheap. Yeah, we can argue about that. So you can see here the fabric seats again, fabric Alcantara seats with leatherette on the outside. Again, a beautiful job. And let me get inside right here, because if you compare to the predecessor, this is of course something which has changed significantly. Now you can sit here with 4 tall adults, and it does indeed fit legroom and also headroom wise. It's actually quite decently comfortable, so nothing to criticize here. In the trunk, you gain now about 80 liters if you compare it to the predecessor. Quite square dimensions. Then you have this cover, which you can also hold open. Then you have some more space underneath. And then only in the combustion engine version, you have more storage underneath, so possible for replacement tire as well. So here we go, but that way you have an even loading sill. And the normal length of the trunk is about 75 centimeters, 1 meter in width, and also here 40 centimeters up to the top cover. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the 2008, the all-new 2008, and when we put in the reverse camera, here we go. This I want to show is very weird resolution, and the drone view up from above. This also doesn't make any sense. It's not with the side mirrors, just front and rear, and then there's no live feed from the side, so to say. It's just, let's say, a fake feed at the side. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. So rear view camera and the drone view from above camera, not really something that is really good with those cars. And I was expecting with this all-new generation that it gets a better resolution as for the cameras, but it hasn't. And voice input, by the way, when you press this button here. Increase temperature.
Temperature changed.
So this would be a possibility to change the temperature a little bit easier than going over the screen right there. Via voice. It's not a natural voice input, so when you hit this button you have certain options, but then you can use those options. So there is some voice feature, but not like an elaborate one, so to say. This one is sharing this so-called CMP platform, by the way, with also other models you already know, DR3 for example, Peugeot 208 and so on. So it also feels a little bit like you would be driving a small car. It's not a big car overall, no. You sit of course a little bit higher than in a 208, so because it has this SUV crossover style, but it still has this small car feeling. First of all because of the dimensions, then because of the platform, and also due to this steering wheel especially. It has it is somehow fun and unique, definitely. It was also in the other cars that have this Peugeot iCockpit. It's a little bit like in a computer game, no matter where you are. So that's definitely a lot of fun. I mean, especially to steer this car around some narrow areas. This is quite cool because it's very light in the steering. Again, feels fun like in a computer game, and it just makes life a little bit more unique, definitely. So how can we deactivate those voice? Well, usually, you just either you can set it here, like in the settings, or you turn down the volume. It depends on, but there's nothing you can, easy, if I find here in a very easy way. Now we're going a little bit more agile right here. And there's actually a lot of fun. So you don't have a supernatural feeling with the steering, but then again, because it's so light and small, it's just a lot of fun. And here in the slalom, actually, this platform here also offers some more stiffer driving fun. It's actually pretty decent. And the car doesn't feel like shaky SUV-wise. It feels actually quite agile and sporty. And especially here in this GT version, together with those sport seats, they really keep you tight. Again, it doesn't feel that it would be the most suitable car for tall people. Steering setup, also with the instrument setup and so on, and the space you have overall. But I think we get along quite well, and both Jones and me are not very small. So this car does deliver a very fun and unique experience, and it's indeed in so many aspects, somehow different than the competitors. I can hardly see the speed here now. I mean, I would have to put the steering wheel a little bit lower for that. Never do that while driving, what I'm doing at the moment here, by the way. So now I can see the speed better, but now the steering wheel is also quite low. So yeah, that's something you have to take in mind, definitely. Suspension is actually a good compromise. So it's not super stiff, it's not very soft, it's a good compromise in between. So I'm happy with that. And again, we're driving the 1.2 liter 3-cylinder petrol engine, has a turbo, and it's 155 horsepower. And for this car, this is the top engine, and that feels also fun and light to drive. So you can also get along with a little bit less horsepower output. Yes, it will be the same petrol engine, by the way. Diesel's not sure if they really make sense for this size of the vehicle. There will be a little bit less in the fuel consumption, but still, for this weight and this size, the petrol should be fine. Or then again, the electric version, which I'm also really looking forward to try. And now to the electric driving part of this review with the Peugeot e-2008. This will be very interesting, and two facts in advance. First of all, this motor here is a permanent magnet synchronous motor, so this is among the efficient ones. So the same technology that, or approximately the same that Tesla is also using. And also they developed, together with Michelin, special tires for this electric vehicle to make it more rolling efficient.
Bienvenue chez un autre épisode d'Autogefühl avec Thomas et Jonas. Well, that's for the French lesson for today. So, this one here now, the electric, the Peugeot e-2008. Yeah, that's the way. And we want to start with the acceleration. Got the free road in front of us, private road, and we're very amazing. I can promise you, front wheel drive only, about 9 seconds is the official figure. I've put it to sports mode. Soon talk more about that. Let's just see how it goes. And let's go. And that's 100. Wow. So, pretty quick, and also a very smooth acceleration. Really cool. And, on paper it is slower than the strongest petrol engine, but actually it feels faster. Yeah, that's, really funny and definitely really cool. What do you think, Jonas?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, Jonas has just returned from the Porsche Taycan winter driving event, so he's like, oh, of course. Damn, Brian, you were there. I was not. But, I was also filming, of course, other stuff. On a parallel basis. So, and after we did this acceleration test, we will reset the consumption meter. That we get, an accurate figure for that. GPS is as well. We have a nice route set. You can also just have that one on here. You can check out what's happening in the screen, like from recuperation-wise, or green, or then blue again when power is being applied to the wheels and so on. So it's always nice to look at, but maybe just predominantly for the co-driver. Of course, the really cool thing about the electric versions, as always, you start all silent. That's really cool, and it just relaxes you when you are driving all silent. And of course, torque is always there with the electric motor, so you can accelerate at any time, and it's just an effortless driving. That's pretty cool. As I said, they also use a permanent magnet motor, so synchronous drive, and this is usually also a pretty efficient drive, as we know from Tesla. And also this fact with the extra developed tires with less rolling resistance, so this is also contributing for the energy consumption. Does it feel different to drive than because of the tires or something? I wouldn't say so. So there is not a big difference in driving this one here and the Petrol GT as for the general driving feeling. It's just again more silent, and that fits also to the nice noise insulation. And like from the power you get, it's of course a different power curve, because there's no real power curve with the electric motor, but there's a real power curve with the combustion engines. This one is a little bit different, but both were actually quite powerful. So we had the most powerful petrol engine, then here also the quite powerful electric motor. So they feel both very powerful for this smaller car, and it's just again a very fun driving experience. As this power delivery is more linear, you can play a little bit more with the throttle. You can fine-tune that acceleration, you have to be a little bit more gentle, because there's this direct torque input, and that's also pretty cool feeling, definitely. Now at the moment we're going uphill, and this also a big difference than when you have the electric motor. You can always recuperate later on, and with the combustion engines, the energy is just lost, So the overall efficiency is of course better, and if you have charging possibilities at home, it might really be the way to go for. checking the prices also and the subventions in your market. And for example, in Germany, when you have the GT, which is also the GT here, so GT electric versus GT petrol, it's about 8,000 euros difference. Soon there will be in Germany like those subventions for 6,000 euros, and then almost the price difference is made up, and then you have maybe better taxation and so on, and this can even everything out. So question is, do you have your infrastructure? I can just stress again, it's a pleasure to drive those electric vehicles, and the same accounts also for that. It's such a good, nice driving feeling here at 80 kilometers an hour, so about like 50 mph. It's actually quite refined and silent yet again, and the car feels very, very sporty indeed. Although it has this crossover SUV styling, it's one of those cars, although it's quite silent, it always feels like you would be driving a little bit faster than you actually would, because it's so sporty challenging. Again, with the small steering wheel, this rather narrow cockpit. I feel somewhat cramped in this cockpit, so I think it's not the most suitable for tall drivers. However, because of those sport seats, I still haven't gotten any back pain, also not the day before when I was driving the petrol engine. So I can really recommend those sport seats, no matter if they're in the bright fabric or in the darker fabric. That depends on if you have the GT petrol or the GT electric. So that's also quite astonishing. I mean, you maybe also see it on camera that I'm not sitting in the, let's say, best seating position, but still quite interesting that I still don't get any back pain. There. I was wondering, is the GPS leading us there to this off-road route? Turning circle here, interesting. And even if I just accelerate uphill, and that's 70 kilometers an hour again. Wow, it's pretty cool. And again, how effortless and silent this acceleration is being delivered. So very good.
And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Peugeot 2008 and the e-2008. Has been a very interesting 2 days here with those cars. And I have to say, exterior-wise, it's actually quite daring, different than the competitors, quite strong and modern in the design. It's a little bit longer than before, so you have more interior space. That is a significant change to the predecessor, especially that you now have some, real rear leg room. This is pretty cool. Then also the styling on the interior is pretty daring, so a very modern cockpit layout with some different ideas, especially in the GT trim. You also have those great sporty seats. So the GT trim is also the one to go for if you want something really fancy. Yeah, pricing-wise, it will start pretty attractive with a normal petrol engine with about 22,000 euros, taking German reference prices. The top one then 35,000, the GT with the top petrol engine. And then you always have everything in what you already need. And then this is also the starting price, about 35,000 for the electric version, up to 42,000 here in the GT trim. So the difference, more or less, will be about 8,000 euros then from the top GT petrol spec to the top e-2008. And it depends on it. It's definitely more expensive, yes. If you take governmental subsidiaries in comparison then, and also some taxation benefits, this can actually even out the difference then. At the end of the day, well, it's more about than the driving, and has been great with both ICE and EV. This vehicle is extreme fun. So it's really a lot of fun to drive this one. Yeah, I feel somewhat cramped as a tall person in the interior. I have enough space, yes, but like from seat position wise, interestingly, especially due to those GT seats, I did not get any back pain overall, although I felt cramped a little bit, so it was actually quite fine in the end of the day. With this iCockpit with a small steering wheel, that has some disadvantages as for the visibility somewhat, and space for your legs and steering wheel, but yet again, due to the small steering wheel and this, arcade-alike gaming characteristic, it was so much fun to drive. Then, of course, this new platform, and also with a low center of gravity here with the EV. Driving the EV and the petrol engine felt, not too different actually. This one here, yeah, a little bit more weight, but then also a little bit more connection to the weight at the ground. So both were actually a lot of fun to drive. This one here, then the EV, of course, with a more silent drive. You know, it's up to you. And I think it would really matter the charging infrastructure. And are you predominantly going short ways and have charging infrastructure? EV way to go. If you're more like go also on longer journeys and so on, charging infrastructure not that good, you know, with your household, then the petrol is still the way to go. Yeah, and the petrol is also actually quite high in fuel economy, as quite high in the fuel consumption for this size of a vehicle. EV, it was really hard to get a realistic figure. It will drain the battery when it's cold, that's clear, although they're also using a heat pump here, so we have to see how that one plays out on the long run. But, you know, you don't calculate a range that you would say, like, you know, I really see, oh, there's 10 kilometers more or less. You need a charging infrastructure and have, you know, always to have a buffer that you don't get any range anxiety. Overall, I think this car is a very nice offer, also price performance-wise, both in the petrol and in the EV version. But what's your take? Please discuss this car here with us and tell us, petrol, diesel or EV, which one would you actually go for? See you in the comments and also the next review.